Hello, hello. Welcome to day 10 of the Spring into Simple Decluttering Challenge. We are already on day 10, if you can believe it. I'll just make sure that we are up and running and everything looks good on my end, and then we'll get started with today's task. Okay, looks good. So, yesterday we finished up in the kitchen, and I said at the end that we were kind of finished with the kitchen and kind of not, because today's task often happens in the kitchen as well. So you might still be in the kitchen a little bit, or you might be somewhere else, because today we're tackling paper clutter. So before you panic, I know paper clutter can feel overwhelming for a lot of people. A lot of us have a lot of paperwork. We all have paperwork to deal with. It's something that happens in all homes. But the goal for this challenge is to get started dealing with the paperwork. We're going to start in a kind of non-stressful way, a way to ease in like we've been doing, make some progress, and make a plan for how we're going to tackle the rest of it in a way that's not going to overwhelm or stress us out. So do what you can with the time you have today. And remember, our goal is to get started tackling paper clutter. So just do as much as you can and know that it adds up and it makes a difference. So for today's task, we're going to focus on current paper clutter first, or current paperwork, I should say, maybe not clutter. So if time and energy allows, you can move on to some of the older paperwork you have to deal with. But for today's task, the way we're going to start is we're going to start with our current paperwork. So that's, anything like recent bills, mail, school papers, cards, things that have come recently that are maybe still sitting out on your kitchen counter or on your desk somewhere, just the current stuff that you need to deal with. And how we're going to attack this is we're going to start by first gathering it all together. So take a quick sweep through your house and look for any paperwork that you have to deal with, any current paperwork that needs to be taken care of. So gather it all together and then start by doing a quick sort. We're just going to sort it into piles. So you'll have a pile for recycling, garbage, or shredding. You might have a pile for action items. You might have a pile for things to file or digitize. However it makes sense to you for your paperwork, we're going to sort it into those piles. So just start by getting rid of the garbage and sorting it into piles that make sense. And continue sorting until all of the paperwork is dealt with. And then if you have an action pile, a pile of things you need to do something with, take a few minutes to start doing that action as much as you can, whether that's paying a bill, replying to something, filling out a form, whatever it is, start taking action and getting those action items out of the way. Oh, and Carla says, yes, going forward, habit changes help me. That's right. This is building a habit of dealing with paperwork, and getting in the habit of dealing with it on a regular basis can make such a big difference to prevent it from piling up in the future. So habit changes are key when you're decluttering in all areas. Changing our habits and just staying on top of that clutter can make such a big difference. Okay, so as you've gone through your paperwork, you've kind of dealt with your current paperwork, you have filed the stuff that needs to be filed or digitized if that's how you're doing it. You've identified what needs action taken and started taking the action on those items. Also take a quick minute to assess, is your paperwork system working for you? Is paper clutter still piling up? Do you lose things or lose track of things? Do you still kind of have papers scattered all over the house? Does it pile up to the point where it kind of gets overwhelming and then maybe things are forgotten or late or that kind of thing? If that's happening to you, take some time to reassess how could you improve your system for handling paperwork. Because like I said, paperwork is something we all deal with. We all have mail coming in, bills coming in, school papers coming in. Paperwork is just a fact of life. So try to assess, if your current system isn't really working for you, what else could you do? And I shared in today's email the system that I have to handle paperwork, my hanging files that I use. So that can be like a source of inspiration if that might give you a jumping off point for how you want to handle it. Sometimes it's as simple as having like a basket on your counter or your desk to collect paperwork, to keep it all in one spot so that any paperwork that comes in, it's going to be in that basket. When the basket's getting a little bit too full, it's time to deal with it. Make sure you're staying on top of it, or maybe, every Sunday night you go through and deal with it, that kind of thing. Think about how you can make a system to just improve how you handle paperwork. If it's not working, if it's working for you, then keep going. Just make sure your system is up to date and organized and, you know, you haven't got behind on anything. But if your system isn't working, try to do a little bit of brainstorming and just think, how could I make this better? How could I make this work better for me? Something new that I have done in the last couple of years that's worked really well for me. I actually learned this from Dawn at the Minimal Mom on YouTube. And it's called the Time Will Tell file. Yes, Time Will Tell. I had a brain lapse for a minute there. Time Will Tell. And basically, this is a place to put anything that doesn't need action. There's no action to be taken on, but you might want to refer to it or use it later, but you're not sure. So it's basically, it's stuff that you can't forget about. There's no stress, like you're not going to forget a deadline or a bill payment or anything like that. It's nothing to do with any action that needs to be taken. It's just a place to keep things contained that you might want to look at again. So things that I keep in my Time Will Tell folder are things like book order forms, flyers, coupons, paint samples, event information if I'm not sure we're going or not, school event information, just stuff that I might need to look at again, but I don't really need to do anything with at this point. And it's been so helpful for me just to have a spot for all those random items, because that was the kind of clutter that usually piled up for me. It was the paper clutter that was like, I don't really need to do anything. I don't need to file it. I don't need to take action, but depending on what it is, I might need to look at it again, or I might want to use it at some time in the future. So having a place to contain those things has been so helpful for me. And then when the file gets full, like I have hanging files on my wall, when the file gets full, I know it's time to go through and clean it out. It's easy to clean out because a lot of the stuff, either, you know, the time will have lapsed, it's no longer relevant, the coupons will have expired, things just aren't relevant anymore and I don't need them anymore. But if I do need to refer, like if I do want a coupon or some information about a school event that we were considering attending, that kind of thing, I know exactly where it is and it's easy to find. And then that file is really easy to clean out. I try to do it like every couple weeks or every month, just whenever it gets kind of full. It's really easy to clean out because there's no action, there's no stress, there's no deadlines in there. It's just things that I might want to refer to again. So that was a really helpful tip that has really helped me contain our paper clutter and keep it from piling up on the counter. I think we all have those kinds of things, especially with school age kids, like things that you might need to see, you might need to refer back to, but you don't really know. Having a place to keep those has been a game changer for me. So if you don't have that, I encourage you to give it a try. Incorporate it into your paperwork system if that's something that sounds interesting to you, because it's been really helpful for me. Okay, so we started with our current paperwork, dealing with it. We've kind of reassessed our system for dealing with paperwork to see if we could improve it or make it better. Next, if time and energy allows, you can start going through older paperwork. So if you have like a filing cabinet or older paperwork that you have stored somewhere, or digital paperwork filed digitally, now's the time to kind of sort through some of that. So you can start by shredding or recycling what you know you no longer need. And it can really help to do a quick Google search to see how long you need to keep certain documents in your area. It does vary by area, so I never like to give specifics, but you can usually do a quick Google search to find out how long you need to keep like tax information and bills and bank statements and those kinds of things that you might be holding on to. So just start going a little bit at a time through your paperwork system. Get rid of what you no longer need. Digitize anything that you'd like to have digitized. File things that you want to keep a hard copy of in a way that makes sense and is organized, and you'll be able to find it when you need it. And just don't stress if you have a lot of paperwork. The goal is to just work at it a little bit at a time. Maybe spend 5 or 10 minutes at a time, and eventually you'll get through it all without it feeling daunting or overwhelming, or like you need to overhaul your entire paperwork system. We're just going to sort through and get rid of the clutter, the stuff that you no longer need, is no longer necessary. And then once you get to the point, both with current paper and older paperwork, where you're caught up and things are organized and make sense for you, then the goal is just to work to maintain it. And once you have the system set up, it's a lot easier to work to maintain it because you have the system in place. You've done the hard work of getting the system set up, getting it organized. All you have to do now is maintain it. So that's today's task. So I hope that doesn't feel too overwhelming. Just start with your current paperwork. If you can get caught up on current paperwork today, I think that's great. That will feel good. You'll be able to maintain that going forward. Keep up with it maybe once a week. Set a day. I like to do on Sunday evenings, I kind of manage the paperwork. I pay bills. I plan our week. I do filing, that kind of thing. And that helps keep me just kind of accountable. I know every Sunday that's something I'm going to do. And it really helps me stay on top of things so paperwork doesn't pile up, it doesn't get out of hand, it doesn't start to overwhelm me. So I hope that that feels manageable for you today too. Be sure to share in the group what you're working on. I'd love to see if you make some great progress on paperwork, if you get completely caught up on your current paperwork. Share it in the group so that we can cheer you on. I'll be back here tomorrow. For our next decluttering task, we'll be doing another video at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we'll be moving on to another category of stuff. So I hope you'll be able to join me. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or anything that comes up, just leave a comment under this video or in the group and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So happy decluttering. Good luck tackling your paperwork. You've got this. You can do it. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye for now.